What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a hoot and a holler, a true banger of a video. In today's video, we're going to talk about the time I served a child. But before we dive into that, I gotta say, please follow me on Instagram. I am extremely shadow banned. None of my posts get recommended. You can't even really find me by searching. You gotta click the link. My Instagram is TheGBLN, but typing that in, you might not find me because I'm that hidden on the app. You gotta click the link in the pinned comment of this video, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, I'm gonna follow a few people back. We're gonna be posting some Only Gas giveaways in the coming days. Make sure you're tuned in. Follow me on IG. Don't miss all the hoots. I post everything on there. And without further ado, let's dive right into the video. Now, this is a story I've been sitting on for quite a while, and this is one that for a long time I was kind of concerned about. I was like, well, I think I might get canceled if I tell this one. Now that I've gotten a little older, looking back at it, no, I don't think I'm going to get canceled for telling this one. And even if no, I'm not going to. I've said far worse things on this channel, all right? I've done far worse things on this channel, but this was an interesting incident. So, this took place back in my junior year, after my junior year of high school. So it was an interesting period between my junior and senior year. It was before I went to rehab, before I had dropped out, but it was after my good friend Ashton had moved out of state. So I was hanging out with a lot of different people, and I was going through a lot of different plugs. And this particular summer is when my friend Michael and I became very good friends. Prior to this, we were still good friends. You know, we hung out pretty often. But this summer, we really hung out all the time, bro. All the time. And this was one of those degenerate days of that summer where I realized that Michael was just built a little differently. You see, Ashton, my good friend Ashton, he served a lot of individuals, kind of like Michael, but Ashton had a more upscale clientele. Ashton, he would have people taking the train in from the city to come grab off him. He'd have like real adults coming to buy off him. Michael, on the other hand, would serve like middle schoolers, okay? He served a lot of other people, but also he had some very questionable clientele. And today I got to interact with some of his most questionable clientele of all because we sold acid to a 12-year-old. Now, I always felt a little bit of guilt about this one. This was one of those things that I did because, hey, it was my homie serve, not mine. It's his custody, and I had absolutely no morals when I was 16 and 17, all right? I was so drugged up, I would do absolutely anything for $10. I would rob your grandmother at gunpoint, pistol whip, violent robbery for $10. No problem, no question about it, all right? I was a bit of a terrible person, so at the time, I had no issues with doing this. So this was one of the fateful days where I had actually been the one to bring the tabs over to Michael's house. Normally, I'd go over to Michael's, and he'd already have them. He was the plug for this for the most part. But on this fateful day, I was the one who brought him over for him to trip. And that is how this serve came together. You see, I went over to Michael's and I brought my tabs and we're chilling. You know, it's a normal day. You see, Michael's house was never a crazy eventful place. Usually that was like the safe spot, if you will. You know, it was the safe house. You go in there, the enemies can't get you there. You can't pull your weapons out. It's a peaceful zone. All right, that's how Michael's house was for us. So when I had arrived this day and I brought my tabs and Michael had asked me to, I assumed it was just because he wanted to trip. And he did, and we ended up doing that later, but that was not the initial reason that he wanted me to bring the tabs. You see, as I got there pretty much immediately, I walked in and he was already session. We had a few other homies over too. We had Paul over, we had Bill over. The vibes were flowing on this fine day. So I come through, I dap everybody up, and I brought the tabs, and Michael's like, yo, I got a serve for you. I was very excited by this. You see, I'm sure many of you can relate to this, but me and my friends in high school used to toss each other serves all the time. It was a way of, you know, getting a favor. If you threw somebody a serve, then later you could hit their blunt if you didn't have any weed. It was a great thing to do. So we did this all the time. If I had someone hit me up asking for some shit or saw someone posting, I'd refer one of my homies. It's the Refer a Friend program. We're all winning. So when I got there, Michael told me that he had a serve for me, and I said, bet, dude, listen, I was excited. I was getting my tabs for pretty cheap at this point, cheaper, even cheaper than I was getting them through Ashton, and I was like, bet, dude, say less. direct me to the serve. I will serve absolutely anybody. I'll serve the chief of police. I don't care. I'll serve Joe Biden. I don't give a damn. I'll serve Joe Biden on camera at his inauguration speech. I'll walk up and drop him a little baggie. I don't care. We'll make it happen, dude. So I was ecstatic. I said, bet, dude, point me in the direction. When are we going? Where are we going? Are they coming here? How much they need? What do we fucking got? So he tells me that this kid wants a 5-strip. And at this point, I still didn't know that this was literally a middle schooler. I figured this was just like one of Michael's homies or something. So I was like, yeah, okay. I mean, I only brought over like a few more than what he wants, but we could make that work. You know, money's money. We get the money. We'll go buy some more tabs. Like we'll figure it out. I can do that. But I was a little blown. I was like, dude, can you maybe ask him to buy like 1 or 2 less? Like, that's almost everything I brought over, you know? So I tell Michael, I'm like, yeah, bro, you know, tell him I'll run it for 50. I was running 10 a tab all the way up. And I remember I was excited. I was like, dude, if we could lock in the tax rate on this one, we're gone, baby. We're gone, baby. 10 a tab all the way up on the 5-strip. Lock it in, dude. And Michael locked that shit in. Literally not even 2 minutes later after I named my price, Michael was like, bet. He's good for it. He's down. And that caught me a little bit off guard because 10 a tab all the way up was pretty steep. Like 10 a tab is okay if you're buying like 1 or 2 tabs. Anything beyond that, it's like okay. You know, 1 or 2 tabs, it's acceptable because realistically, no one is bussing any move for a $10 or $20 serve. You know, like no, that's just inconvenient. Like if I charged you $5 a tab on a $1 serve, I'm doing myself a disservice. Or on a 1-tab serve, I'm doing myself a disservice here. Okay, so I was pretty excited to get this rate all the way up on 5 tabs. I mean, normally 5 tabs, you're getting what, like 30, 35, 40 bucks? So I was very excited about this. I said, hey, that $10, that extra $10 on top, that's going to McChickens and blunt wraps, Swisher Diamonds. So we finish up our little sesh, and we're dicking around a little bit, and all 4 of us, we go and we hopped in Bill's car, and we skedaddled up on out of the jam. All of us, we're 4 deep, spinning the block. And I still, at this point, did not know who we were going to serve. I just knew that I had to serve. So I sat up in front. I sat in shotgun, you know, the serve seat. Whoever the plug is in the car, whoever's busting the next serve, you get shotgun, bud, all right? We had Michael in back, Bill's whipping that bitch, and hey, let me tell you, we're on the way. Now, this kid's house, I don't remember exactly how far it was, but I remember it was pretty close. We only drive maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and we were already there. Now, we pulled up in front of this kid's crib, and at that point, looking at this crib, I knew, even though I didn't know it was a child yet, like, this is the kind of house a 12-year-old that does acid would live in. Like, as soon as you pulled up on the house, you know, mentally it's difficult to picture like a middle schooler who's buying acid. Like, that's hardcore. I knew kids in middle school who smoked weed. That wasn't that crazy. But popping tabs in middle school is kind of nuts. Popping tabs before your balls drop is crazy. You open your third eye before you dropped your nuts? That's next level, dude. And this was before Fortnite. This was the pre-Fortnite era. So what did this kid even think about? Like, what did kids do before Fortnite? I don't know. This kid was probably tweaking in that bitch. Nowadays, you know, he takes a tab. You know, a 12-year-old takes a tab. He's going to think he's in Greasy Grove. You know, he's going to be having the time of his life. Back then, I don't even know what little kids did. I couldn't tell you. Honestly, bro, I think we need to change up the way we do like dates in the calendar system. We have BC and AD, right? I think we need BF and AF, dude. We need before Fortnite and after Fortnite because that was a big cultural shift. All right, either way, back on topic here. So we're driving over to this kid's house, and mind you, this also was not the first middle schooler that I'd seen Michael serve or even come along to serve for. There was a time that we finessed this dude in a little playground. We met him in a playground, and we sold him a Red Bull can that was just empty. We told him it was a stash can. It was just a can of Red Bull. Like, it was an unopened can of Red Bull. There was no weed. We finessed him for half-ounce money. But that was Michael's serve, and that was a little different because the kid just wanted to buy weed. This kid wanted acid, and we really made the serve. We didn't finesse him in any way. We just served this kid. I don't know who this little dude was, but he was tapped the fuck in. Michael was like, nah, like, we getting him right. You know, we getting him right. I guess we taxed him a little bit, but that's the price you pay for being a child. So either way, we're cruising over to this kid's house, and we were smoking a blunt in the whip even. We were bumping our music. We had the windows down. It was just a vibe. Looking back at it, we rode around like we were invincible back then. Absolutely carefree. We were all minors. The car we were in was more than likely uninsured. We're smoking blunts. None of us were probably qualified to be driving at this point. All of us probably had even a little bit of blood alcohol. I don't think any of our blood alcohols were sitting at zero at any point in time during this stage in our lives. We were riding around hot as hell, dude. 5 tabs of acid ready to go. We were begging for prison time. But somehow we never got it, or at least I didn't. You know, we cruised over to this kid's house. We pulled up, and Michael hit him up and said we were there. I rolled down the window, and I'm just sitting out front waiting for whoever was going to come out. And at this point, I had still not been told that it was a kid. I didn't know until this little fucking kid comes running out, and I'm talking like fully prepubescent. Some middle schoolers, you know, they start to hit puberty in that era, and maybe, you know, they got a little bit of a deeper voice, where it's like, oh, okay, you might pass as like a freshman or a sophomore. No, this was little Timmy. This kid hopped straight out of my Fortnite queue and into the serve. Now, this kid's walking up, and I'm kind of flabbergasted here. I'm not going to lie. I look at him, and I look back at Michael, and I'm like, who the fuck is this kid? He's like, oh, I don't remember what his name was, dude. We're just going to call him Timmy. He's like, oh, that's little Timmy. Like, he's cool. You know, he's cool. Don't worry about it. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, who is bro? Dude, where did you even meet this kid? But we didn't have time for those questions because the kid walked up. I introduced myself. I'm like, oh, what's up, man? You know, I'm Nick. Treated him normal. Treated him with the respect, you know, dapped him up. Treated him like an equal, even though he was very young. I said, hey, man, you know, I got your tabs of acid right here. He had $50, no fucking problem, dude. Absolutely. You know, honestly, I was expecting him to like crack the piggy bank, you know, give me some coins or something. But no, dude. I mean, he came, you know, he had proper bills. I don't remember having a problem with that. So all was well. You know, I bust the serve. Then he leans in the window and he's talking to Michael. He's like, oh, like, how have you been, man? What are you doing? It seemed like him and Michael really kind of knew each other. So I'm sitting there and I'm just thinking like, bro, how do you meet all these like 12-year-olds, bro? The first one that we finessed with the Red Bull can, it's like, okay, that's a fluke. But now we're selling middle schoolers acid. Like, who's your in man? Who's your connect at the local middle school? Like, how are you meeting these kids? I found out later that he just knew the dude's older brother, but the acid was for him. It was not for the kid's older brother. It was for this kid. Like, this kid was taking this shit. He's talking to Michael, and that's when I realized that it was for him as well, because he's saying, like, oh, the shit you had last time was fire. Like, how's this? And Michael's like, I don't know. Ask my homie. So the kid asked me, he's like, oh, like, how is it? And I'm like, bro, it's pretty fire. Like, you're going to fuck with it, you know? He's like, oh, dope, dude. Yeah, I was tripping balls last time. But imagine, like, a child saying that. Like, yeah, man, I was tripping dick last weekend, bro. Like, 3 tabs of acid. You know, meanwhile, like, this kid probably has, like, pre-algebra homework to get done. Dude, holy fuck. This guy might have still been learning division and multiplication. That's crazy. Oh, my God. But, I mean, hey, no moral issues with this serve whatsoever. I sold that kid drugs, no problem, baby. Listen, if I wasn't going to do it, someone else would. It's a dog-eat-dog world, bud. I got to get paid. I got to make my money, all right? So this kid daps us all up, and we pull off, and I'm sitting there honestly kind of shell-shocked. I am just flabbergasted. I could not believe what just happened, and I turned around to Michael, and I asked him, I'm like, bro, who was that? And he's like, oh, that's my homie's little brother, Timmy, dude. I'm like, bro, where did you meet, like, why are we selling this kid acid? He's like, oh, that kid's super with the shit. It's like his brother put him on to everything. I'm sitting there and I'm like, damn, I felt very conflicted. There was one part of me that was like, I feel a little bit terrible for like selling that to that kid. But also, I mean, at the same time, it was kind of too late. Like, what am I going to do? Look at him like he gets to the door? Listen, it's like a liquor store, all right? If a child walks into your liquor store that's ran by questionable folks and he tries to buy a bottle of Smirnoff, are you going to say no to that kid? Me personally, probably not. Have fun, little dude. So, I mean, I just ran off the sketchy liquor store mindset. You know, I mean, I got to do what I got to do. Today, I'm the sketchy liquor store owner, and I'm not carding. So we whipped on back over to Michael's house, and we went back upstairs, we vibed out, we smoked some weed, and then we started tripping. The problem was, I just sold this kid pretty much everything I brought over, and we didn't have enough tabs for all of us to even have one each. So we ended up just breaking down tabs, and we each popped a half tab, and kind of had just like a very light, chilled trip. It wasn't really an intense, like, oh, you know, the walls are moving kind of trip, but really just a vibe enhancer for the evening. We popped our half tabs, and I was feeling good. These were some good tabs, and it had me wondering, I was like, what kind of dose is this fucking 12-year-old taking? Now, I think 12 might be a bit of a stretch. Maybe I'm exaggerating here, because if I remember correctly, Michael told me that this kid was in 8th grade. So that would put him at probably like 13, which I guess doesn't really make much of a difference, does it? Either way, little too young. Now, I'd sold weed to middle schoolers multiple times, usually with Michael. This wasn't, that's not a very unusual occurrence, Kids start smoking weed in middle school pretty often, but I had never even heard of any of my homies serving anything beyond weed to someone that young. And Michael just did it like it was a regular repeat occurrence. I don't know what Michael's full clientele was looking like. I don't know if this guy just went to like a middle school assembly and just started collecting numbers. I don't know if he threw his telegram up in his lunchroom. I don't know what he did. But somehow he had the local middle school on lock. Hey, but either way, that's it for today's video about selling acid to children. I could go a little longer about the half-tab trip experience, but I mean, what am I going to say? Oh, yeah, I smiled and giggled. Hey, it was a half-tab, all right? That's not a video-worthy dose, but we ate 4 double-dose tabs around here, okay? That's not a we don't waste our time talking about those shenanigans, okay? That light work. However, now, if it was like the 12-year-old off the half tab, hey, that might be video worthy. Dude, I wonder what he even did. Like, you're not even like a grown up. Like, you don't even have an L's, you don't even have like a debit card and ID. Like, what is bro even doing? Does he just like did he just pop the tabs and watch Coco Melon? Like, what the fuck was he even, dude, that shit's probably lit actually. Damn, Coco Melon on acid's probably fire, dude. The sensories, oh my god. I'd be tweaking, dude. I'd probably start twitching and shit. Once I start singing like the ABCs and they got all the letters, different colors and stuff for like maximum sensory. Oh my god, dude. Wait a minute. Maybe I tripped. Maybe I waited too long to start doing drugs. No, I can't say that. YouTube's going to delete this video. No, don't do drugs ever, not one time, even as a 12-year-old. Hey, hope you enjoyed the video. Drop a like if you did. Follow me on Instagram. Don't wait. Don't jag. I love you. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Deuces.